Hi, hello everyone. It is your girl, fabgogg, back at it again with another OC Lore Talk Speedpaint video.
Back at it again at Krispy Kreme.
If you haven't watched the previous two videos, I highly recommend watching them, just for some background info and nitty-gritty stuff about my webcomic universe and its little quirks and whatnot. But for today's video, we have Keiko Park, or Keiko Shio, legally speaking. Wait, legally speaking? Two different last names? What's up with that? We'll have to, delve into that in a little bit. But first, I want to start with her history. So Keiko came about back in like 2016-ish, even though I didn't really start consistently drawing her until like end of 2017 to 18. Her character's design hasn't really changed too much over the years, but rather just evolved from what she started as, unlike Iggy and Seth, who I totally revamped from their original designs. Drinking my Dunkin'. So the name Keiko is of Japanese origin, and it means happy child. And I feel like her parents kind of set her up for failure with that one. I'm not saying that she's not a happy person, but, since she's a Cancer, she has to cry at least once a week to be able to properly function, so, And yes, I'm also a Cancer, so I'm allowed to say that, and I am speaking from my own experiences. So, on the topic of my own experiences, Keiko takes on the role of my inner child, I guess. She's very innocent, she's pure, she's clueless about a lot of things, and she really is under the impression that being book smart rules overall. So, yeah. She's just as sheltered, if not even more sheltered than Seth, and like most of my characters has trauma, that of the childhood genre kind, between finding her father cheating on her mother at way too young of an age and her parents getting divorced as a result, which is super uncommon in the North, by the way, and is very frowned upon, and being treated like a lab rat from the age of 3 to 13-ish. She's been through quite the ringer and had to grow up very fast. But alas, she still craves the comfort of a peaceful childhood, and the only thing to comfort her from those times is that of her stuffed panda bear plushie, Barry. Yes, such an original name, but it was her first stuffed animal, so obviously it's going to be a basic. Like, what do you expect? So, to go back into her being a Cancer, she's quite the sensitive one, but usually tries to retaliate with violent sass when she feels threatened. Her birthday is June 28th, and her MTBI score is that of an ENFJT. However, really thinking about her, taking that into account, really getting to know her as a character through the writing, I feel like that could flip-flop between like E and I, like for the extrovert and introvert, because I feel like it could be interchangeable for her. It really just depends on her mood and, her crippling anxiety. So fun, we love that for her. But yeah, when she's in the mood to be around people, she's a social butterfly and she really tries to help other people out of their shells. But when she's feeling more introverted and reserved, she likes to be on her own and in her own comfortable world in her own head. So she's very creative and very book smart, but definitely a dummy when it comes to street smarts. She is quite resilient and very, very, very intuitive. Like her intuition is crazy. Like you might be able to consider her an empath. She always knows how other people are feeling. And that's probably the most smart she'll get about street smarts, just because like she always knows when something's up. She always knows when like she goes with her gut. She and her gut is usually right, which is kind of a little quirky thing, because she's not like other girls. And she's definitely one of those girls that calls themselves so small and petite, since she's just a mere 5'1" and 110 pounds. But she also gets mad when people automatically assume that she's helpless and can't do anything for herself since she's so small. And that is usually where the sass comes in, which is definitely hard to tame for most people. And Seth doesn't really try to shut this sass down. He just exacerbates it. He loves getting Keiko all riled up and annoyed. Her anxious misfortune brings him joy because, he's just lovely. But no matter how vulnerable and small he may make her feel at times, she refuses to give in to his manipulating behavior. Her intuition can see right through him, and she just knows that he's never doing anything with good intentions. It always makes her frustrated when no one else sees it either, and Seth knows that it eats away at her from the inside out. But of course, she has extreme issues when it comes to people pleasing, so she needs to make sure she's portrayed in a good light with everyone she meets. At the beginning of the story, she's very well organized, she has all her ducks in a row, and the worst of her worries is having to spend a week at her father's house. But, Gabrielle, you said he cheated on her mother.
Huh?
Why is Keiko still allowed to be around him? Well, because her mother is using her father's money and political power to give Keiko a leg up in life. Plus, Keiko's father is so obsessed with the Hayes family. Honestly, if one of them needed a kidney or something crazy like that, he would probably give it. He would definitely give it. He's quite an intense suck-up to the presidential family, and also really wants Keiko and Seth to get, together in a relationship so that they can bridge the gap between him and the presidential power. Since Orochi, Keiko's father, wants to use Keiko as a pawn for political gain, she despises him. She also isn't very fond of her mother, Beale.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Terry. Huh?
Since her mother basically forces her to be around her father so that she can follow in his footsteps, but the ulterior motive is for Keiko to gain more political power because her mother was kicked from the executive board. So Beale is forced to rely on Orochi's name and position for Keiko's benefit. Basically, in short, all in all, her parents are using her for their own benefits, and they're both in a match of tug of war, and Keiko's the rope. Keiko really strives to have no connection to her father and wants to be independent in gaining her own position on the executive board, so she uses her mother's last name, even though in hindsight this isn't really the best for her either, because both her mom and dad, like their last names, they're already kind of shunned from the north after the whole cheating scandal, and also because Keiko has pink hair. LOL. Her father was going to force her to dye it back to brown, but her mother threatened him, saying that it was an infringement on her freedom of expression and that she would never let her stay with him ever again if he made her dye it back. So yeah. Beale is considered kind of crazy by the community. She's very progressive and wants to find a common ground between the North and the South to foster peace and mutual understanding. But she's way too invested in trying to find a way to do this and have this be accepted by everyone that she doesn't even realize that her daughter is being used as a test dummy. So Kadeo, the guy that her mother meets soon after hearing about Orochi cheating on her, is one of the head doctors in Northern Dispatera. So they hook up, they get together, they're a thing. He is the main reason why Keiko was entered into the Terabane testing program without her mother's knowledge. Of course, to Keiko, the testing seemed as if it was just a bad dream, but she has her heightened cognitive abilities to prove that they were very much real and legitimate experiences. What's her ability, you may be asking? Telekinesis.
Blows up pancakes with mind.
My fucking pain.
She uses it in moderation, though, since she feels guilty for having these abilities. There are moments where she uses them for personal gain, but she tries her best to control herself, which doesn't always end up well. So in terms of Act 1, she eventually meets Jace, thanks to Seth really stirring the pot in the north. I'm not going to go into detail about that. And she doesn't know whether to be scared of Jace or attracted to him. So, of course, she's her sass to defend herself and her confused emotions, but Jace immediately shuts her down, which makes her even more confused in other ways. She spends quite a while trying to get him to at least stand her, because she needs that validation and is a people pleaser, and he doesn't give in because he doesn't give in because he's finally growing fond of her, because he would never admit that, because he's not about, being vulnerable and letting his feelings out, but he's more so forced to give in to stand her from knowing something that she doesn't. And y'all are gonna have to wait to learn more about his deal in the next video. Anyway, after meeting Jace and going through more trauma and, traumatic events, she has another mental breakdown. She chops her hair off with no remorse. She doesn't do the best job, but the new haircut makes her feel even more unique and empowers her. As the beauty standards in the North urge all younger women to keep their hair on the longer side as it was more, quote, quote, attractive. So she now has the best of both worlds. So onto her music taste. It says a lot about her. Yeah. She's an avid listener of artists such as The Neighborhood, Paramore, Melanie Martinez, Lana Del Rey. Y'all get the idea. Music is just as big a deal to her as it is to me, and that's a really big deal. It helps her calm down when stressed and distracts her from trying to always please her parents and, their whole deal and issues. It also helps her to focus while studying, since getting good grades has always been important to her. But soon enough, she'll learn that there's a lot more important and pressing issues in life than a report card with straight A's. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have for this silly gal. She's just like Seth in terms of lore. Like, I gotta hold certain events and things back for the sake of the story packing more of a punch when I release it. But I do want to say I fully finished writing Act 1. The script is done, and I'm now moving on to storyboarding. So that's going to be interesting. And then if all goes well, all goes smoothly, knocking on wood, I move on to final production over the summer. And as far as the release date goes, you guys are going to have to wait for that, because I'm still figuring stuff out and planning stuff out. But yeah, I hope you like the art, and I hope you like the video, and I hope you found it interesting and insightful. And I will see you in the next video. Yeah, that's about it. All right. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye. Ta-ta. Toodles.